Yo, 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 yo. What's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads, and especially all you gardeners out there? This is Mr. Weedman and Big Earl with the Weedman 420 Chronicles Grow Hour. How are all you gardeners doing out there? Big Earl, my brother, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm fucking super stoked, and I bet you can guess why.
Rhymes with boinks.
Smoking some big fat joints with you, brother. You know it. You know it. Hey, all you gardeners out there. Hopefully, you're trimming some tree and smoking some big fat joints while you're listening to the show. We're about to get started here, and we're gonna smoke right now. Big Earl, what you smoking, brother?
I rolled a GG4 just because it's one of my favorites for the beginning, and then I have a new peachy keen that I was trimming today. It has some nice scissor hash, so I rolled that for the end.
Nice, nice. I love GG4. I smoked that on the last show. Someone gave me a joint, and we smoked it. I love GG4. Love it, love it, love it. It's just such a nice fucking strain. It's just all around great
Yeah,
for because it's a it's a mix. It's an indica sativa mix, and you get that good blend of all the feelings and stuff like that. That's why I like it so much, man. It's just good. You could talk on it, you can relax on it, you could chill, you have some fucking fun on it. So yeah, dude, I fucking love it. So, but I'm smoking some grapefruit sour diesel. Someone gave me a couple of these small little fucking joints, so I'm gonna smoke this today, and yeah, try this one out. Smells pretty good.
nice. Yeah, one of my favorite things about the GG4 is it grows so easily. I feel like it's really hard to piss it off. It's long and lanky a little bit, but it's really hard to make it mad. And I grew GG5 once, which who knows about all that? I don't, but it was very similar to Gorilla Glue 4, but it stacked way nicer and was much better structured. But I still go back to the Gorilla Glue 4.
Yeah, bring me a couple nugs next time I see you. I need to try that. Try yours 'cause I've not tried yours yet, so I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the sour diesel's not bad. Tastes good. It's a nice strain. I mean, like I said, it's good. I gave Mrs. Weedman a joint to smoke. While I'm down here, I had a couple of them, so I gave her one. She goes, "I smoked the whole thing." I'm like, "Fucking smoke the whole thing. It's a dog walker. Fucking, it's a little fucking dog walker.
The 5 minute
Have some
guy.
fun with it. It'd be great." You know. Speaking of growing, I got my new plant in the tent, and it sprouted. Little baby, 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 baby. Little Yeet by Umami Seed Company. Thanks for the introduction with him back in the day when we had him on the show. But yeah, I'm throwing him a little shout out. I got a plant in the tent. It sprouted out yesterday morning. It was nice. It was nice and green, little baby. So super stoked. Uh, Wintertime here in my home is very dry, so it's just tough to keep that humidity
Yeah.
up, in these beginning phases too. So I have to keep that tent so closed, and then all of a sudden I get all the humidity, running down the walls and everything like that. You should keep that tent so tight and closed to keep it. Like I said, right now I have a humidifier in, and it's pretty much almost all the way up, and my humidity still won't go past 65.
Wow.
I'm trying to keep it around 60,
Yeah.
70 around there, and it still won't get it to where I want it to be. It's like I'm sorry, I said 65. I meant 55. So I'm trying to keep that. I cranked it up even more as far as it can go. So we'll see. But it's growing. It looks good. I got it in a little dome right now, and to unleash that dome in a couple days once it gets a little bit bigger and get that thing some more light in there. But it's looking good. I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
It sprouted out quick, man. I was all happy. So I'm looking forward to it. I gotta get you that. I gotta get you that cut. Hopefully, it's big enough when you come into town to get you a cut. So
Yeah, dude, I'll take that. At least we'll throw it to some seeds or something.
yeah, yeah, I'm
Do
super
something.
stoked. So
Cool. Yeah, I
let's
love
see. This is
everything
my first.
Umami.
Yeah, this is my first time growing anything from him, so I'm super stoked and excited to see how this plant blossoms and blooms and gets me some nice big fat nugs. So, what do you got? I saw you post some pictures. You got some males, man. You got some pollinators, I should say, in those tents that you posted, man. There were some pollinators.
Yeah, those are the males I've used in projects. So the Uncle John's headband cross, or the Loompas, I think Uncle Lupa's Packy headband male. That's the one I have going now. But I am about to do run a Florida Peaches male. I'm hoping also. But yeah, man, that's what I look for. Is males are hard, dude. We talked about it a million times, but that real hard structure, nice close floral settings, and just hope that they stack up.
Yeah, there was some pollinators going on in those pics you saw. If you haven't checked out Big Earl's Instagram, check him out at Earl217 or his other one, which is I am the Regal Beagle, right?
Yeah, I am the Regal Beagle.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So if you want to see some dope ass pictures of his grows, man, some phenomenal flower and tree growing on in his rooms, man. It's fucking amazing. So, all right, my brother, you ready to get the show started?
Yeah, I am. I'm excited for today. It's one that everybody we know enough about, but we're still advancing, and we're going to try to get everybody a little intro to it. The lighting.
Lighting, man, and especially knowing when I was in the traditional market back in the '90s, and the lights we used back then, these big monstrous 3,000 watt bulbs that were like they used to do for street lights. That's how big these bulbs were, and it was crazy how much they cost back then. They were not cheap, not cheap at all,
Yeah.
and how much heat those fucking things drew out to where you had to have an air conditioned unit in each room because these lights brought so much friggin' heat to keep that temperature right. We had to put an air conditioning unit in every room to make
Yep.
sure it didn't overheat. So yeah, lighting back in the '90s compared to what we have now, wow. And pricing and wattage and ease of use and the putting some like I've seen you put yours together, but putting them together, just so much easier to use and do. I mean, lighting today too. I mean, there's temper control on some light units I've seen. Like you can control the temp of the light too, not only just how the brightness. Like there's temperature controls I've seen on some, and there's some crazy shit with this lighting and what they've come up with over the last probably what 3 to 5 years. I mean, lighting has
Oh,
blossomed now that home grow is a thing too.
yeah. And we understand a lot more as a community, for sure. And just an LED, like LED, it wasn't long ago where LED wasn't able to beat, anything. Like you could put LED over plants and everybody laughed about it. Even when I started in shops in 2016, people laughed at LED. And then all of a sudden you started hearing stories. And then really what got people on the bandwagon there is those companies had to come in and give lights away. So they'd come in and they'd give a light or two to people that worked there, usually the manager, assistant manager, owner, something like that. They would come back and be like, guys, these lights smash. And then everybody else in the shop would buy them. All these guys are trying to do really is mimic the sun, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's that. We're just trying to be better about that. That's really there's nothing that beats the sun. I don't have enough outdoor experience to be like you can't beat sun-grown cannabis like a lot of people say, or some people I would say. I've never done like a side by side of the exact same plant outside, inside, and all that stuff. But I would say that I've had a lot of really good sun-grown cannabis, and it's like, man, it gets
Yeah,
in the
me
sun,
too. Me too, especially if you go to the West Coast, man. You get
yeah,
some great sun-grown cannabis out there. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, and the whole West Coast from the tip of Washington to Southern California, you're getting phenomenal outdoor grown cannabis. It's amazing. I mean,
yeah,
that sun is there for a reason. And I'm not taking away from growing in a tent to growing indoor. We get some phenomenal weed, but when you go outdoor, nature's doing its thing. The whole system, the planet, the stars, the sun, everything is in line with just growth in general. We need
yeah,
the sun too, and it just goes to show our bodies need that sun for vitamin D. Plants need that sun for photosynthesis, and it's just a different way that life travels through outdoor compared to indoor. And don't get me wrong, indoor is amazing. I've smoked phenomenal indoor grown weed. It's just different, different types of weed and different types of cannabis that are grown, but the sun is the sun. You're going to
yeah.
get phenomenal stuff, but ultimately this is what lighting indoors trying to mimic, like you said. And so now what are the different types of lighting?
So yeah, like we'll just start at most people when they think indoor gardening, they think indoor lighting, they're gonna think about a high pressure sodium light bulb. At least up until a few years ago. The high pressure sodium is a gas inside of a bulb. The original single ended ones were like metal screwed onto the end of those, which you then screwed into a reflector, which ran to a ballast, which ran to a wall. By the way, it is pronounced ballast, not baluster. Uh, just just helping you out.
I was an English major and I still call it baluster too, so just so you know.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, dude. People come in the shop. You hear, I mean, everywhere you hear everything, but that one in particular always cracked me out. I got 6 balusters going bad. And so yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm just gonna giggle about it a little bit and go help you out. But so the we can go over some the positives. The nice side of those right now is that they're super cheap. I wouldn't even talk about single-ended bulbs right now. If you're talking HPS, probably double-ended. I don't. Many people probably don't have single-ended HPS around anymore. They probably have double-ended. That's where they're crimped on each side. It's not screwed together, so the gas doesn't leak out. Those single-ended bulbs, people didn't listen a lot, I know, and the quality and numbers suffered at the end, but you get maybe 2 runs before, if you have a fresh bulb, before you're losing a big percent of your gas in there. So like its effectiveness off the shelf, if it's been on the shelf for a while, is lower than a double-ended bulb. Where those double-ended bulbs, if I'm remembering what the reps always told us, after about 2 years, you see about 80% of their efficiency. So that's compared to 6 months. That's a pretty huge swing. That was a huge swing in gardening anyway, when it went from the single-ended bulbs to the double-ended bulbs, and that was a quick, like, it was single-ended bulbs forever, double-ended bulbs for like 4 or 5 years, and then real fast LED came and took over the scene. But double-ended bulbs were awesome because they created these open reflectors. The bulbs lasted way longer, and I loved mine particularly turned down. I went from running 2 1,000 watt HPS to running 3 600 watt, 1,000 watts turned down. But I only not only did my yield increase running less wattage, but all my flavor, everything was better. Everything was better when I switched to the 3 at lower and spread that out a little bit rather than the 2 at the highest.
Nice.
So when we're talking HPS, that's the flowering bulb. We're gonna see that as more of like a red orange. That's the spectrum that the plant likes to absorb to grow the flower. Where when you talk about veg, you're usually talking about a metal halide. If you have HPS in your flower room, like traditionally it was metal halide in the veg room, you see that more as like a blue or a white, usually like a blue tint at least. Um, same sort of principles as the HPS. Single-ended bulbs, double-ended bulbs. The one cool thing about the metal halide was it came in tons of different spectrums. So I ran like 10K, and we can get into a little bit of this later. Finishing bulbs for a while. Like last week, I turned to 10K finishing bulbs, and it's just a spectrum that honestly I couldn't tell you scientifically what it does to the plant, but it just my plants would get these colors, they'd mature really nicely, and now I have an LED where I basically have an app that I put that into, and it goes blue the last and the first week. So instead of having to change out a bulb, I just bleep boop, and, it goes blue, which is cool. But the metal halides were nice. I liked them a lot in flower also because I like mixed spectrums. So if you are running HPS and you want to try something different, try throwing a metal halide or a ceramic metal halide or light emitting ceramic, LEC, CMH, same thing. Those are very cool. That's closer to what you were talking about probably initially back in the day. That's what a lot of the street lights were. At least that's what I was told. And that's why they got stolen a lot. I think you had a story about it.
If you know a street guy that can get you a bulb out of those lamps, it'll save you a lot of money. Saved us a lot of money.
It's crazy because it's like for a little bit, those ceramic, the CMH, first off, I still use some CMH. I love ceramics. Um, they can do anything. I have them there. They're like my sixth string. If I have an LED acting funny, if I have something going on, I'll just toss in the ceramic real quick. They're 315 watts, very easy to add here and there. I like to double them up to the 615. And the ceramic in 615 usually gets me every bit of a HPS at 750 or 1,000. I just love them, and they can veg. You can get different types of bulbs for them, but really the 3,000 up to the 4,000, 4,200 can veg in them, and anything can veg in them. But those can veg very well. So ceramics are awesome. Um,
Nice.
they hold a smaller spot, I think, in the growing world than they should as well. Just because they kind of, it was all HPS, and then it went very quickly to LED, single-ended, double-ended LED. Ceramics, definitely people use them. They're definitely known about, but not as much as they should be. They're awesome. I like them a lot. And now today, most people, I think, if you ask anybody who's been growing the last 5 years, it's all about LED. Some people argue that. Next week, we're gonna have somebody on saying no, it's not about LED. HPS was always the king. LED was a step down. I'm very excited about that conversation.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good. And the Red Goat has been growing for a very long time, so he grew under HPS for a very long time. So I'm really excited to see what he says about that compared to the LED. So LED, it's so technical that we're still kind of learning about it a little bit. There's a lot of companies out there that we know everything, we do this, we do that, and they're still coming out with models. So what's what's your new model mean if if yours is the best in this and that much advanced? So what I did with my LEDs, which I built these like 4 years ago, I built these a long time ago. I just did a bunch of research on them, and we can talk about that later in the show. But that's what I would do some research on it. So, but as far as with today, I'll give you some of the base stuff. First off, it's pretty well known that the full white spectrums are going to perform a little better than the straight red and blues, the burples. Um, it's not. I've definitely seen nice flowers under red and blues. It's not. It's. I think it's a combo not just of it getting the full spectrum, but you being able to see your plant under a white light. Uh, the even HPS, you could put like blue filters on, like basically a blue lens over your glasses or blue lens glasses, and go in and see in a white because it's purple or it's red in there, orange in there, and it changes you to a white spectrum. But there's not much you can do with that, unless you go in during the night to like go and put your light on it, which is definitely, it gives you a realistic, so you can get around it. But it's just, I think that's one thing that people don't think of as much. But one thing for sure that seems to be agreed upon is that the LEDs need the different spectrums. You want like the bright whites, you want like the dull whites in there is what you see with your eye. The good ones are going to have UVs or reds or hopefully both. So if you look up at a LED, sometimes you'll see diodes that don't look like they're on. Those are usually UV. If it's like a big clump of them, that's probably wrong. But if you can see a pattern and you're like, every 23rd diode is not lit, that's probably a UV diode. You just can't see it lit. But it's doing what it needs to do for the plant.
Right.
That number of diodes, this is something that is not brand new information to me, but newer information to the community, I think, and definitely to me than a lot. Those diodes are tested per watt. So usually they put a quarter watt to each diode when they test it. That's super important in situations because you go to a company, you say, okay, they have the badass diodes, they got everything I need. But if they're pushing those diodes at a watt a diode, which is 4 times the power that they're tested at, not only is your life expectancy going to go way down, you have a 5 year warranty. Oh, it's supposed to run 100,000 hours. If I put that out at 12 hours a day, that's 20 years. Well, if you're pushing 4 times more power, that's probably not going to happen. You're probably going to have warranty problems. Also, your spectrum isn't going to be exactly what they're saying it is. It's just not. You're pushing 4 times more power into it. Like, I'm not a diode specialist, I'm not a lighting specialist, but I do know when you push 4 times more power into something than when it was tested, like it's going to be a little different. So that's something that companies don't expect you to know. So if you go to a lot of companies, don't tell you what diodes they have.
Interesting.
So if you go to a lot of these companies, what diodes do you run? They might know, they might not know, I don't know, but they won't tell you usually. So that's why I got into building my own because I'd ask these companies, they wouldn't know. I said, well, you're sitting here, you're telling me you're the best. I have no idea. You don't even really have like test pictures. I don't know a single person that's used your light. You got plastic over your diodes. I don't know what that plastic is doing, taking out, putting on, and on top of it, you want $1,200 for this one 4x4 lit area. It's a hard sell for me.
No bueno.
No bueno. One thing with the LED also is that it needs a warmer room temperature. I think that's where a lot of people that go from HPS to LED run into their biggest problems is the atmosphere. So your leaf temperature, also I'm not an expert on this, I've just read about it, heard about it, all that kind of stuff. Your leaf needs to be a certain temperature to do certain things. If you don't reach that temperature, it's too cold. It won't. Your plant just won't be happy. It's for a number of different things. So when we had HPS as in the main lighting, it had hot spots. Maybe this area right here was really warm in the plant. This area over here was a little cooler. With LED, it's all very cool, especially if you leave it farther from your plant. So what I do is I make my room about 5 degrees warmer than I was when I was running more bulbs, as opposed to the diodes. But I also put my lights very close, and I turn my lights down because I want that heat from the light to at least hit the top of my plant. So the ones I built, you can turn up and down like a little knob on the side.
Yep.
I turn them
Yep.
up and down. I add CO2 to the room, and I upped my EC. I usually ran up between a 2 and a 2.2 under HPS. My EC I bump up to a 2.4, sometimes a 2.6 for like a feeding or two, then top off with water and bring it back down to like that 2.3, 2.4. But
Science.
little
Science,
higher.
science, science,
So yeah,
science.
it's just more to eat, you know. And I'm very interested to talk about the differences with the HPS, like what I was seeing there when it went to the LED and why I needed that and all. You know, I'm excited. But yeah, so LED. A lot of people have problems switching, man. But those are them, and a long word. You got HPS. You got metal halide that usually goes with that. The veg bloom combo. Ceramics can hold their own veg and bloom together, but can be used with everything. And now LED, which ranges from buy one for $1,500 all put together and all the promises in the world, to building them yourself, and ordering them overseas, which is what I tend to do. So
Nice. What the hell? We talked about this yesterday when you and I were talking on the cord. And what the hell is light spectrum?
that was that was funny because I sat there and I was like, well, I don't know, like a wavelength that we see. I don't know, bro. How am I gonna? What is light spectrum? Like I literally googled it. I was like, I'm gonna Google this. What do they describe light spectrum as? So here's light spectrum. Light spectrum can mean the visible spectrum, so it's kind of right. So like a wavelength that we see, the
Hmm.
range of wavelengths of electromagnetic radiation which our eyes are sensitive to. That's what we are using it as. There is another meaning of a chart, but that's what we're using it as. The light spectrum meaning it's what we see, it's what the wavelength of the lights, it's what the plant's absorbing. Um, that's all I got for you on that, man.
Well, spectrum with the bulbs then.
Sorry. Yeah. So
The
let's talk about
the
spectrum of bulbs.
wavelength of the bulbs.
Yeah. So we'll go over just a little bit of what maybe help people understand what spectrum means a little bit, and what spectrum you're working with. So when you talk about HPS, we'll go back over that, right? You see the red and the orange. Usually HPS, so you're in your room, you're remembering when you had the bulbs. You're sitting there with your coffee and you're like, oh yeah, this tent's glowing. Well, when you have that high pressure sodium in there, you're usually seeing a 2,000 to 24,000 Kelvin um, spectrum. I'm sorry, on the high pressure sodium. Sorry, the joint got me all stony.
You stony
All
baloney.
stony baloney. High pressure sodium flour, 2,000, 2,400. In that veg, when you're on the metal halides, you're usually seeing it at the 32 to the 4,000 Kelvin. So you're going up. That's when you're so the 2000 when you're down to closer to 2000, you're getting more red, going up to the 24, the 27. You're getting more orange. You're going up, and then you're crossing over into the blues when you get up into closer to the 4000s. And the whites are hitting anywhere between like 32. I really we have this cool chart which we're posting up. Um, it's basically claiming white is right in that 32 range. So when you get to the other side of that 32, you're probably leaning a little bit more blue and to the top side, and when you get to the low side, you're probably seeing it a little bit more red. So that red orange, that low side is what your flowers are going to want to eat. That blue side is what your plant is going to stretch for. That is why your veg lights are blue, because if your plant doesn't have to stretch for it as badly, you will have shorter, bushier plants. You can veg with flower bulbs. They're red and they're orange. Your plant isn't going to have the blues in there, that spectrum, and it will reach to absorb it. It will reach for it. And it will have to reach farther to get more of it. And that's why we see those different colors in veg and in flower.
Ah, makes sense.
Yes, exactly. And what we're seeing in LED is basically just white. All the colors. We want all of them in there. We don't just want red. We don't just want blue. We want a little bit of all this, and even some stuff we can't see, some UVs, some far red,
The color of the rainbow.
everything. If the sun's got it, we're trying to mimic it, basically. So, um, so with an LED, we'll just stay on that a little bit. What to look for when you're buying one? You know, you're buying one from the store. A lot of people like to use these words like the T1000. This is the T1000 model, and you go,
What are we in Star Wars?
yeah,
It's the
yeah, yeah, and
T1000.
that's
Hey,
cool.
Luke, go pick up this T1000 over here, will you?
Go pick up this T1000, and they say this replaces a 1,000 watt bulb, a 1,000 watt unit, and you're sitting there saying this is 1,000 watts. Holy cow! Not 1,000 watts. They are probably, however they're measuring that, usually is like lumens or something. They are probably sorry, they're probably running 400 watts if you're lucky. Look what this pulls from the wall. Not what it mimics. What does your light pull from the wall? That's why you want to buy your LED. Amazon has a million of them. Everybody has a million of them. Don't get suckered into these names. We already talked about the diodes. We talked a little bit about spectrum, but some of them allow you to change it, turn your power up, turn your power down. It's all different options. Usually, when the spectrum changes, it is on an app. I've never seen one like actually built into the light, but that'd be pretty cool. Um, they have options like waterproofing. Some of them are waterproof. That's a big deal. If you spray, you're in veg, and you're like, well, I like to IPM. I like to stay regular. You spray, that waterproofing is nice. You just wipe it down. You
Yeah,
don't have
and
to worry about it.
hear about the waterproof thing too, especially if you're growing in a small tent like I am. The humidity builds up condensation along the walls. Sometimes you build condensation on the mat, and and I woke up this morning to go check my humidifier and check my plant, and I mean there was condensation all over everything. And to me, yeah, when you said that it's a big deal to make sure your shit's waterproof, it's a big fucking deal.
Yeah, because
So,
you never know. You get a weird, especially if you don't have like a dead spot where the air's not moving very much. Like you're totally right, man. You'll have water. You'll open the freaking door and water will like water fall out a little bit because you moved a crevice. Like all the ways. It matters. It makes you feel good at least. You know. Some of these things come with 10-year warranties. That depending on the company can be a little bit of a false blanket. There are companies that offer long warranties that haven't been in business that long. There are companies that have gone out of business while still having a ton of lights out there in warranty. There's no, so what really does that mean to a company that started last year? Um,
true.
and then we already talked about the spectrum and then the different power changing. I definitely an LED that can change power on the side, even one that can click from like 185, 50. It's so huge because you can get much closer to your plant. The heat can be there. LEDs are strong. If you're coming from like some weaker bulbs and you're coming into flower, not only does that need to be to the ceiling, but that needs to be turned down. Like that needs to be like 8 feet away, turned down. Unless you're coming from an equivalent LED or another or some a really high powered bulb. Like I have fried entire trays. The first time I went from LED, here's a decent story at least. I went to LED. I had a whole veg room. So geeked about doing this. Had it wasn't my room. I was just working it, and all brand new Fluence back when they were like first going, long like in 2016, and fried like 200 plants immediately. Lights all the way to the ceiling, but those particular models you had to buy a basically a special unit to control them all, or they always blasted at 100. And we
Wow.
didn't realize that putting it to the ceiling. I mean, that basement was tall too. It was probably 10, 11 feet away. Fried them one day, didn't save a single one, crisped, fried.
Oh,
So
was it a strain that you guys, you did together, or was it like a new strain you created, or was it just a nice big grow? Was it because that could have been something, huh?
yeah, no, it was they always got clones and those they were always, oh yeah, this guy has the purpliest purple. This guy has this of that. And all I ever saw from that garden was a bunch of herms and gross weeds. They got my foot in the door, but like when you look back and you're like, "Ooh." So no, nothing was lost, just lessons learned, sir.
Yeah. So one thing bad about having a small grow tent 5 feet tall, to 2 by 4 by 5, um, is that you can't get that. I mean, I've had that light to the top, because sometimes I just like to let the plant grow a little bit too much, and it just I've had I haven't burned anything, like killed something, but I had some fucking my toppers get a little light burn, but that was about it. But yeah, not having enough room in your tent either kinda sucks. So you
Yeah,
gotta keep that shit small and tight and stuff like that. It's tough, man, because when that plant's growing, you don't wanna cut it. You don't wanna fuck it up. This looks so pretty, and you gotta
true.
trim it, but then all of a sudden you're like, "Look at this fucking baby just growing," and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, fuck, I'm not gonna have it," because you always forget when you're in flower how much more that plant does grow during flower and at a point where it finally stops because then the buds start growing, but then it's growing even more. You're talking, I mean, I've seen my plants in the tent that I grow in. I've seen, during the flower stage, that thing grow another like 3 to 6 inches. And you're like, what the fuck? Just calm down. Slow down.
They'll get huge. They 2 to 3 times the size you put them in at is what a good rule of thumb is, but it really depends. If you put them in and they're not getting enough light and they hit that really early super huge stretch, like you can be ruined. You can
Yeah.
or like you get a gorilla glue a little bit too big. Not we talked about that a lot this episode, but they don't stop growing. They stop growing like week 7. But you're done. You're like already defeated by the time that plant. And there's a lot of plants like that, And so and then there's some plants that don't grow at all that you put in there and they barely grow a few inches and usually it's a little more than that. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm tying shit to the sides and fucking just because it's like, oh, it's just a learning curve for me because
yeah,
I enjoy watching the plant grow. That's why I'm excited about growing outdoor one day because I can just let those fucking things go.
yeah,
No,
sure,
just that's the one thing with outdoor versus if you don't have the ceiling height or your tent height indoor, you got to fucking make sure you fucking manage that thing and really fucking keep that thing in a level of trim and stuff like that when you're growing it or spreading it out. And if you're a scrogger, it's a little bit easier because you're really training that plant. But witnessed it in my own tent. With the lighting, how much trouble you can get into with your grow because you're not. And I don't have dials where I can turn it down. That's just where it's at right now. One day I'll be able to buy a nicer light set, but what I have, it works. It works great.
yeah,
It just tightness. So in the small tents, be careful. when you're like myself, be careful to let that thing grow because you'll get light burn. You'll fuck your plant all. You'll fuck your whole grow up, especially in the later stages where you can really fucking burn that thing to death. I mean, I'm very very fortunate that I only had a light burn on a couple of the toppers that didn't. I ruined my toppers, of course, but not the whole tent. But you got to be careful. You got to
Yeah.
make sure you manage your plant correctly with the lighting, because you could fuck it up, as Big Earl said. Go ahead, my brother. Sorry.
Oh no, dude. Yeah, so with that, that's what bringing that light down closer can do too. When you typically when I flip in, especially with LED, all the way to the top, turn down, but still you want light, so that they initiate and they know what time it is. But as quickly as possible, I turn them up, and as quickly as possible, I get them as close as possible every day. Usually, I turn them up a little bit, drop them down a little bit, turn them up a little bit, drop them down a little bit. So by the end of the first like week or so, 8 9 days they're in there. My LEDs are usually a foot or two away, turned up all the way, and it controls that reach because we get back into the reaching for what we see as blue. It's reaching for it. That's when I know somebody out there can tell us why, but that's what it's doing.
I'm sure we'll have somebody on the show to tell us why one day, so stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll be saying like, ah. But yeah. Also, you can add silica. That can help if you ever get in a stretching situation. Um, if you already
Yeah, you
add
told me
silica,
that, and I
double
was
it.
nervous. Yeah, you told me about silica, and I got nervous because I didn't know nothing about it, and I probably could have read, but I was like, I'm kinda nervous. I'm
Monosilicic,
not that ex." Huh?
monosilicic silica, monosilicic acid, not regular silica. Regular silica may be all good and fine, but from what I understand, it takes a breakdown period. Usually, by the time regular silica is broken down, you're already done with your plant. It takes months. You don't have a plant for that long usually. So unless you're outside, you want a monosilicic acid. But diatomaceous earth can work too. Mix it into the medium or something. I don't know how long that takes to break down, honestly, but I know it's still got a lot of silica in it.
There you go. Nice, nice. What are some of the lights that you like?
So, dude, we talked about it a little bit. Like, I'm a little salty with some lights, especially recently, because of the brand that I really like, that I have a lot of their lights sold out. I'm waiting for a call back from them, so I won't give them a shout out, bad or good, on this. But they didn't tell anybody. They sold out, still under warranty. They've been around for probably at least 10 years now. I've been dealing with them for 6 7 for a long. Like, they were the first LED that came to me that I was like, oh yeah, because my very first experience was with Fluence, and they fried my whole room. They gave us zero knowledge on how to use them. And Next Light came, and they're like, look at how smart we were, and that's when I was like, oh, so you just got to do this. So I don't know if I just said their name or not. I probably did, but we'll see what they do. But I really like
Oh,
right now Science, SCYNCE. You can run the app. You can change all your spectrums. Very cool. They have big lights, little lights, powerful long bars, waterproof, 5 year warranty. You're gonna pay for it, but badass lights. And one of the best performing lights as far as like wattage to grams coming out, the Photo Bio, bro. That photo, I think they have a Photo Max, Photo Bio, the photo line. All of them are badass. Um,
nice.
yeah, I like so those two is what I would recommend for sure if you're just. But really, what I'd recommend is doing a little bit of research and just looking for some different stuff, and you get it way cheaper. Is really what I would personally recommend.
Yeah, and do your research too, and look for pricing. You could just don't go on I'm not saying Amazon's bad. A lot of people use Amazon. But do your research. Price comparison and warranty is a big thing too. Make sure I had a warranty on one of my lights, and they sent me a new one. It's great. Great. I don't know what the fuck happened to it. Oh, I know what happened to it. Fucking power outage went out and fucking blew my whole fucking shit up. We had a fucking transformer blow in the alley, and fucking blew my fucking the tent was running. It blew the fucking fuse in it, and I called them up. I'm like, hey, they're like, we'll send you another one.
Right,
Sweet.
that's
I
nice.
had that
That's nice.
warranty. Yeah, big, big. Warranty's big, man. Make sure you look at it. Don't do a 1 year warranty. Get that 5, 10 year, even if you got to pay for it. It's
Yeah,
only
yeah.
gonna help you out in the long run.
It
But
definitely makes
spending
you feel
12
good.
if you're spending 500 to 1,200 bucks on a fucking lighting set, and you only have a 1-year warranty, and that thing fucks up in like 6 months, you're or in a year and 6 months, you're gonna be fucking pissed because you ain't getting that money back, so, or getting a new light. So even if they offer an extra 5 years on the warranty, do it. You know. So I mean, I would.
Well, a lot of the components in there are a year warranty. So if they're offering a year warranty on a pre-built uh, item, they're just giving you factory warranty. You know what I mean? Like the most of the
Right.
diodes, like Samsung, that's what a lot of people like. That's what I run on the boards that I built. They have a 1 year warranty that just comes with them. The Meanwell drivers, a 1 year warranty that just comes like factory stock with them. So, but yeah, I feel you. If you're going to be paying for a unit, you better get your warranty in with them, and
Hundred
make
percent.
sure they've been around for a while. Make sure this isn't a company that's just going to go belly up, which we talked
That's
about.
a good point too. Well, yeah, because it right now, home grow is a big thing in a lot of states. Growing is a big thing in a lot of states. You know what I'm saying? Just cultivation to, corporate cultivation or craft cultivation. Home grows big. And as more states legalize it, you're going to see home grow added to these laws in certain states. And so this is already is a big business, but it's going to get even bigger. And a lot of companies are going to try to make a quick buck in and out. Oh, I can make quick 10, 15 mil, I'm in and out, and then I buy one stock of it all and then sell it and I'm out. And then you never hear of these companies again. And like I've always said, don't be fooled by the snake oil salesman. So that being said, research, look for reputable companies, look for companies that have long standings in the growing world. Ask questions, do some research, see how long they've been in business for. If they've only been in business for a year, could be a little bit of a red light. If they've been in business 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, you might have a green light. So just be cautious and do your research and ask questions. Big Earl is always on, and I'm always on. So we got a Discord coming up too soon. They can come in and ask some questions too. We'll let y'all know about that in a minute. But we had some questions, right?
Yeah,
So from listeners, you had quite a few people ask you about LED, and you're going to give some tips on building your own LED.
yeah, yeah. When we went through, we liked the questions. It's like had that question asked a lot, and we've been kind of playing both sides of the fence. Like, yeah, the company's worth it because of the long warranty. It's not worth it because you don't know exactly what you're getting. And so, really, at the end of the day, it's what's best for you and what you value more. But just in case you'd rather build your own and be able to repair your own, much less of a warranty, you need a little bit more forethought, as in like ordering like making sure. But other than that, it's pretty simple building your own. So what I did is I started by researching. I researched a lot online. Eventually, got found myself on Alibaba. It's a website that basically did a huge wholesale. I think most stuff comes out of China. That's here or there. I don't know, but I probably went through at least like 30 or 40 different companies. Found a few I liked based off the diodes and the drivers they used. I researched basically both of those things, put it to a warranty that they were offering, um, made sure everything was like it had reds, it had the different whites that I wanted. It had a 1 year warranty, which was just factory, but I was cool with because it was so much cheaper. And they made it so I didn't actually have to buy through Alibaba, which is what I appreciated the most. I went on there, I found them, I got a hold of them on Instagram. Then we got on PayPal, and I liked PayPal because if anything went wrong, they're decently easy to get your money back with. And that was my big thing. Like if I'm going to order all this money, it was a decent sized order. If I'm going to order all these panels, and I've never dealt with this company. We can't even really communicate very well. So we went through PayPal, and they made me comfortable enough and made it easy enough, and it was awesome. And one thing since then that I wish I knew then, I'm not sitting super badly, but the diode to wattage ratio is one thing. Just make sure you pay attention to. That's one thing. Even a lot of light companies, uh, they just don't emphasize it. But make sure you have, if it's 600 watts and your diodes are tested at a quarter watt diode, you got 600 diodes, you're not in good shape. So do your research and do just find what there's no in gardening. There's no like answer. That's like what's so great and what's so awful about it, right? Like there's an answer for you, but there's no just answer. How do I get
Right.
rid of thrips? There's an answer for you in your situation, and you might be able to do something that I literally can't do, that wouldn't work for what my type of thrip in my situation and whatever. And that is like every situation. So just whatever's good for you. We're trying to give you the information saying this is what's available more so than this is what you should do. But just so you know, it does come from factory 1 year warranties. Most of mine are still running. I've had mine for I built mine about 4 years ago. I had one panel like sometimes it's finicky turning it up and down, but if I just do it a couple times, it does. Don't even really know what that's about or how to fix it. Um, and that's it. I haven't had anything on them go out.
That's
So
fucking banging right there.
yeah, yeah. So it was working. They're working very well for me. So when you find the panels, because that's really what this is. It's not like you're unrolling a strip of LEDs. These people make them in a bar. They make them on panels already. You just have to put those bars and panels together. And now a lot of times they put them together pretty cheap for you. I just found them way cheaper buying them small in 120-watt panels than buying the big ones put together. That even from them. Um, so you find the panels you like, right? And what I actually did is I used aluminum bars from Lowe's, L and U shaped. I used L shaped to go around the outside just so my corners could be kind of like flush, and U shaped to go through the middle so it could bear the weight and I didn't have my board just bending because the L wasn't as strong as the U.
Oh.
Um, I got just a little aluminum drill bit and some little machine screws, and the boards that I got came with everything else, literally eye bolts, light hangers. I put them together, put a couple extra holes for my eye bolts in every corner, and that's a big thing. Put them in every corner. They're gonna bend a little bit if you have them at 4 foot length. So mine does, at least with a U bar. Mine are 2 foot by 4 foot panels. I did that because they're eight. They come in 8 foot sections. So by making 3 cuts, I could get 4 pieces out of each piece, basically, and it rounded out everything. I didn't have any extra pieces of aluminum or anything. Um, let's see. I'm trying to make sure I didn't pass over anything. But yeah, I just put them together in 4 foot sections. I measured everything out. If you're in a 2x4 tent, you probably don't want a 2x4 light. You probably want like a 1.5 by 3.5 foot light. So maybe you want to do it a little different. But that's just what I did and what was working for me.
Well, I got to see your setup, and your light setup, man, is fucking amazing. I mean, it's like for doing it yourself too, it's very well done. Now, let me ask you a question: when you're doing it yourself and you're putting the panels together, do you have to do the electrical work too, or is it already just all it is click into the bar and you're done? Is it a wire that connects to the connector and it connects to the other connector, or do you have to like wire the fucking shit too?
So technically, yes, you wire it, but when I it's like if you can do an 8-year-old plus Lego set, this wiring is no problem.
I'm out.
It is
I
yes.
never got past the fucking 5-year-old Lego set. I'm out.
It's it's color coded. There are 3 colors. It is black wire to black wire, orange wire to orange wire, white wire to white wire connector. Like very, very easy. Um, They
So
made
you say, but I didn't pass fucking 5-year-old Lego set. And you see
well,
those fucking Lego sets today? Those motherfucking pieces after pieces, man. Get the fuck out of here. Fuck that shit.
yeah, well,
I'm nope,
I
nope, nope.
I'm sorry.
Especially stepping on a fucking Lego. Fuck that shit too. Fucking Legos. I'm glad I don't have any little kids anymore to step in those fucking things.
Yeah,
'Cause that sucks.
yeah. Even as a kid, it almost didn't make it worth it. Even as a kid. But,
Oh shit.
so that's how I put it together, man. I got my panels, I got my U, my L bars, I machine screwed them with some aluminum bars from Lowe's. It was super easy, and it was fun. Every 2 panels, so every panel is 120 watts, the one that I got. I don't wanna give out the name, just because not that I didn't have a bad experience with them, but because recently when I went on to their, because I went on to see what they were just doing, it wasn't, everything that they did was pre-made. I couldn't find my same boards, I couldn't find a lot of the, so they pre-made panels only, um, anyway, but I did find, like, the 120-watt panels, 2 to a driver, it just wasn't from that company. And,
Gotcha.
that was nice because then every driver I could turn up and down. So my panels, if I need to, I can angle them, or I can turn one side up and down. I can, if one side's looking like it's getting blasted a little bit too hard, because I have so many different strains running at the same time. Usually, I'm running one strain, but 20 different strains, one plant of each. I mean, and there might be 3 plants under one light, and I might have to. So I can turn it up and down in sections, which is really nice.
Gotcha.
And I just measured that out and made my holes and screwed it together.
And now you have beautiful flowers.
We try. And you know what? The pre-bought, pre-made lights I have too are badass. I'm not gonna say they're not. The Photo Bio is a better light than mine, than what I built. It was 2 or 3 times more expensive also. So it's like, but that thing surprised the shit out of me. Uh, that's a cool light. And the science is just so cool. The app, I have it set to my 2 to 8 week and my first and last week. And that's just about like initiating the flowers and finishing the flowers and then just blasting the flowers. Like I'm trying, I don't know. It's just fun. It's a fun thing. And that's really what it's about. is-
Well, I mean, that's what it is. You enjoy it. You got to put your shit together and be fully immersed into building your rooms on top of growing your tree and your plants and stuff. You got to build everything too, so you have experience doing that, which is fucking awesome. So, hey, before we talk about some news, I need you to stand up and show everybody that fucking dope ass shirt you're got because I just caught the whole thing. So you
Oh,
need to
okay.
fucking sit up and show everybody this fucking shirt. I sell marijuana and marijuana accessories. Bobby, get you some of that propane, Bobby.
Yeah,
Get you some of that propane. I love it. I fucking love it.
this is my favorite shirt. I did a little run with a local artist here, and we did some really fun stuff. Um, it's like a made to order.
I need one of those. If there's any
Okay.
lying around, I
Yeah.
need a couple for Dovboy and T with fucking yeah, dude. Dovboy and T, they all Polly's and all that. They all love fucking that show. So I
Okay.
mean,
Okay.
if I gave them a surprise with those shirts, oh my god, they fucking because it's coming back on too. Did you know? Fucking the show they're bringing it back on is Bobby is an adult now or some shit. I
Oh
heard.
goodness, that will be fantastic.
Yeah, just they were just talking about it to me. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm not. I like the show. I'm not into it as much as they are, but I mean, I watched the early couple seasons, and but it's fucking pretty funny. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a dope ass fucking shirt. So if you haven't, if you're listening on audio and you want to see the shirt, go on our YouTube and check it out because the fucking shirt's fucking dope. so some news. We met for 20 Chronicles. I started a Discord. I'm gonna put it on my link tree. And then we're still going to do Big Earl's Discord for a lot of the fun stuff. My Discord's going to be more for just socialization and hanging out and smoking weed and playing video games. So I'll do some Discord nights where you can come hang out. We'll play some games and get high, and we'll just bullshit and have some fucking fun. Big Earl's fucking Discord is the learning channel. Big Earl's fucking Discord is where we're gonna do the giveaways and have some fun. And Big Earl and I do our practice sessions on there too. But Big Earl's, if you want to learn about growing cannabis and just learning about all of it, you need to go to his Discord, and he'll tell you what it is in a second. I forgot what my Discord thing is. I'll just post it on Instagram so you guys can all follow me and hang out with me and shit. So, but also 8 Decades is killing it, man. We're loving life out there. Thanks for the support, everybody, on 8 Decades. And then what do you got going on? What's some news from Big Earl? You got some shit going on. I know you got some grows going right now.
Yeah, I've been having fun, man. I started doing some auto stuff, so they have their own little section now. But I have the Uncle John's Packy headband mail is about to start dropping pollen. He bled red. It was fun. And all the auto breeding stuff's going along really nicely. Everything's coming out real nice. That Florida Peaches line's about to get pollinated and have some fun crosses in there. And if anybody ever needs anything too, I have my Instagram, which we talk about all the time, but that regalbeagle at gmail.com. You can always holler at me about anything.
Yeah, and check out his Discord too, because he's got his lineup on the Discord too.
Yeah. The
So
Regal Beagle Bean Company, or Regal Beagle Bean Co., I think. You can
let me
holler at
see
me
what mine is.
anywhere I can get it to you.
I can't remember. I started it on Sunday, so everybody who followed me thinks I think oh yeah, I'm fucking WM420 server.
Yep.
I think that's what I
Yep.
am, right? Yeah. Look for WM.
WM420s.
Yep, WM420 server.
Yep. Yep. The Regal Beagle Bean. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, hang out with us. We're gonna have some fun on
Yeah.
Discord. We got the next one coming up on when? February 24th, this Friday, right?
Yeah, this Friday with Magic Beans, Nick.
Magic
And I think
Beans going to give away. He sent us some beans, of course, to give away. So we're gonna do not as many as last time, but we're gonna have a lot of fun and give some shit away. And but I think Nick might join us. We're gonna let him know, and if he can join us, great. If not, it's fine. But we're giving away a lot of his packs, so we're super stoked. So if you want to join us on February 24th, it'll be 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. So come check us out on Discord this Friday, the 24th. It'll be a lot of fun. What else you got? Anything else?
No. I don't forget the CalMag.
Don't forget the CalMag. Don't forget the CalMag, everybody. We appreciate y'all out there for listening, Big Earl. I love you, brother. Thanks for this show, man. I appreciate you. Everyone out there in the world, we love you. Gardeners, go trim some tree and smoke some big fat doinks. Peace.